Right, welcome to the bread area of the kitchen. This is where the toaster, the bread machine, the scales. Here is the starter dough out of the fridge. As you can see, it's not very large. It's about 2 cupfuls, and really I preferred if it was 3, but we're now going to add to it. It's been just come out of the fridge. So first of all, I'll make the first batch. So there's 1 cup of flour. I want 2 extra cups of dough, so I'll put a cup of flour in here, ordinary bread flour, and a cup of hot water. Good. Now mix this together, and then while I'm mixing it, now add the sourdough from the fridge. Get some more mixed in there in a second. Now this is going to stand all day. This is going to eventually form the bread for tomorrow morning. But I want 2 cups of sourdough for the bread, and therefore I want 2 cups left, which is why I made an extra, if you like, 2 cups of sourdough material here. And so we'll get all this scraped out. So now this is now will rest all day. I'll wash this pot up. But I would recommend, if you've got a bigger jar for your fridge, is to have a 3-cup sourdough mix. Then all you've got to do is add 1 extra cup rather than 2 extra cups. It's just, this was the side of the container I had, and therefore that's what I used. So this will now rest all day. We'll come back a little bit later on and show you how it's developed, but you can already see a little bit of froth there. Put this on top. Put this on top. There we go. And this can now rest. Right, it's much later in the day now. The sourdough's had a day to get going. You can see the nice frothiness of it. It looks very good. Give it a quick final stir. I want 2 cups of this, and then the balance will go back into the old pot. So I'm going to start making the bread now. I put the salt in the bottom. There's no yeast goes in because I don't need yeast. But the salt and the sourdough counteract each other, so they don't want to mix until later on. So I'll put the salt in the very bottom. Now I normally make a 500-gram loaf, which is I normally mix of 250 of plain flour, 250 of the rest. But we've got one of each of these is 125 grams, and we're putting 2 of these of sourdough into the mix. So therefore, as it's an equivalent mix of flour and water, 1 will be flour, 125 grams, and 1 will be 250 millilitres of water. So a 500-gram loaf, take off 125, it's 2 200s. So I've got 200 of plain flour here. And now I'll mix it with granary flour and have 200 grams of that. Good. So put the granary flour in. I don't use sugar. Now it's got 250 millilitres of water. It's got 1 cupful of water, and normally I would put in 300 and something. So I'm actually putting in 100 millilitres of water in there. And now, exciting bit, I want 2 cups of this. So there's 1, nice and lumpy, and there's 2. Now if I've done this right and done the calculations right, it should now mean is the same amount of sourdough to go back into the fridge. It's not quite. I might give it a bit of an extra feed, but that's why I like a bigger pot in some ways, to be able to make up a bigger selection of sourdough. And that's it. This now can go on. It'll now rest overnight and then start cooking through the middle of the night. So actually the sourdough is going to have in the region of about 8 or 9 hours sitting in the warmth. But that's it. And then tomorrow we'll have a look at the loaf. Bread's ready. there is the sourdough no yeast loaf.